All right. Happy Wednesday, Ashleigh.
Happy Wednesday.
I'm excited about this. So today we're going to talk about whether or not chatbot sales are legit, real, whether or not they are what they're cracked up to be.
Yeah. I mean, all of this, the origin of the conversation is really from the Airbnb's earnings call.
Start us off. Tell me.
Yeah. So, well, the biggest thing that I found interesting is how the CEO said, that they are finding, that they found that the traffic that comes from chatbots converts at a higher rate than traffic from Google. So instead of their take, or his take is, instead of viewing AI as a threat, that it is showing that it has some value and it's bringing more higher quality visitors to their site that convert at a higher rate, which is interesting. Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot to unpack there, right? So I think that I think there's a couple things to think through, right? So if we think about marketing technology and the history of chatbot utilization for customer interaction and sales, it's not a new concept.
Right.
That fundamentally is not a new concept, right? We have historically in e-commerce used chatbots for top of funnel customer interactions, for even qualifying, right? Like we'll have qualifying conversations within a chatbot, that kind of thing. But almost always those, I guess, would have happened on somebody's digital property.
Yes. Right. So they've already had to get there.
Right. So we've already gotten them to the web. There's already brand awareness. This isn't pre-discovery.
Right. Yeah. And what I also found interesting when I was reading some commentary around like this earnings call and everything, that Airbnb spent a lot of time and marketing time and dollars towards just brand awareness in preparation and like leading up to AI. Now, was that they knew? I don't necessarily think that that's the case, but I do think it's interesting with some marketing has been more like search focused, marketing for search instead of like brand awareness. And where do we? And I know that with when we're working with our clients, we are focusing on brand awareness. That's like a big factor and part of our marketing strategy. So it is sort of like a full circle going back to like the brand awareness side that we had just shifted away from for so long. So I found that interesting too. Maybe they didn't anticipate. I mean, I don't think anyone could really anticipate the impact of AI necessarily, but it did work in their favor.
Yeah. So as soon as you brought this idea to me, I blew my mind, because I was like, I feel like this is a counter cultural message. The idea that chatbot traffic, or that LLM source traffic, right? ChatGPT source, Perplexity, Gemini, Claude, whatever, is going to convert at a higher rate. I think that I would have a lot of qualifications to that statement, right? Because I think that, first of all, yes, if we would say that a key component of that is brand awareness, right? That if you are searching for a short-term vacation rental, right, you're going to look for Airbnb or Vrbo. You just are. Those are the two most, they're household names.
Right.
Technically, I don't even know if I'm saying the second one correctly, but they are household names regardless. So I think that they have a distinct advantage, right, in being a big player to begin with. So if we're thinking about replicating strategy, right? So whenever we look at somebody who comes out and says, hey, this thing works, right? And I've leveraged this technology to achieve this result. We have to say, like, is that repeatable
Right.
in my context based on the additional factors or the extenuating circumstances in which they achieved that thing, right? And so I think that the interesting conversation to have here, so we understand that, right? Like, we understand anytime you read a case study, you have to like zoom out and be like, wait a minute, like, what were the extenuating circumstances and is that relevant? But I think I immediately, when you kind of brought this idea to me, like, did a zoom out and was like, I think that it merits a broader conversation around how marketers are staying tuned into consumer behavior around chatbots. Because it's true, and we've talked about this in search, right? Organic search a lot, of like, people be changing, right? People are changing the way that they look for things, and they are using these generative engines, right? ChatGPT, et cetera, as though it's a search engine.
Right. Yes.
And we know that ChatGPT launched ads. We know that ChatGPT is expecting, right? There's so many signals that they're expecting revenue. They did a partnership with Shopify to do direct integration. They launched an instant checkout feature. So you can literally buy something in ChatGPT and check out.
Right.
Like, they fully expect this to be like an activated e-commerce platform. So I think there are a few things, right? Like, as marketers, we need to look at it and say, okay, that is going to then condition people increasingly, right? So if you're using a platform and then you start to see that a platform has additional utilities or extended utilities, then it's possible that you're going to experiment with those things, right? Like,
yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I was the last person in the world who thought I would ever shop on social. And I have probably bought like 4 or 5 random things on Instagram in the past 6 months, right? So you just do, right? Like, you get sucked into it. And so people are going to start doing that. I would posit that there's 2 things, right? You're observing how people's behavior is changing and that people are starting to get more comfortable with the idea of transacting or buying either through a chatbot recommendation or on a chatbot. But then I think the idea is like the platform, right? I would say very much posit that OpenAI's plan is to create e-commerce capabilities that lock people into their ecosystem.
Yeah.
Like, they're not trying to create an extension for people who are running successful e-commerce websites to gain better qualified traffic via ChatGPT funneled into their WooCommerce website where they can go transact. OpenAI wants a piece of the pie.
Yeah. So, I mean, are you thinking that would, a way to look at that would be like TikTok shop, something similar to that, where like people, that is there to stay on the platform, and then merchants push their products onto a TikTok shop. And so the similar, okay.
So for e-com, I think it's going to become like an Amazon seller kind of deal.
Right. Interesting. But yeah, that does make sense, or a possible outcome from there. Yeah.
But so then I guess I wonder, so, you've got kind of all these different categories. If you've got e-commerce and you have like, you kind of your lower dollar amount, higher impulse purchases that are possibly transacting on a platform, right? People are willing to buy that on ChatGPT because it's $50 or less or whatever. For us, that's less relevant because we work more in the B2B space.
Yes.
So then I guess the question is like, what is then the consumer behavior shift about B2B purchases, sales, vetting on chatbots?
Yeah. So, I mean, does that go into the like AI visibility type thing? Like, how visible are you in comparison to your competitors? And like, how often you show up in these comparison charts that, when a person is trying to look for a solution, how often you appear as a business? Like, is that what you're thinking? I mean, going, yeah. Okay. Yeah. And then it goes back to, well, how do you create more AI visibility for your brand and business?
Yeah. And I think similar to how, the best people, I always used to say, like, the best people in SEO were the people who understood people.
Mm-hmm.
Because there were all these technologists out there, and they were all the ones who were trying to game the system, right? Like your best black hat SEOs and your gray hat SEOs were like great technologists. Like they were really good at figuring out ways around the rules or figuring out how to like game the rules. People who are really good at SEO just understand how people think, and they understand like what people are looking for and what motivates them and like that kind of thing. And so I think that the best way to start putting together an AI visibility strategy and thinking about how to get more visible on AI platforms is to start considering like, what do humans do on AI platforms? How are they behaving? So I have a bunch of data that I found.
Yay.
I went down a rabbit hole. I was like, oh, this is scary and fun. I have to figure out how to share my screen like I want to. Okay. So I was like, realistically, like, what is the chain of research that we need to conduct to understand how people are behaving on generative engines so that then we can put together AI visibility strategies? Okay. Mm-hmm. So I found a bunch of different, this is Ipsos. It's like a consumer tracker is what they call their thing. Mm-hmm. So this is just basically more people are using chatbots. Like we have to actually establish that that's true, right? Like we assume that's true. Is that true? Marginally. Marginally true. Doesn't look like it's like massively true.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Yeah. I was surprised that wasn't a bigger swing.
Yeah. And I'm glad that you showed that first.
Because I was like, well, we have to establish that this is actually occurring.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, again, we're in like the bubble.
Yes.
Of being our field, so we assume it's occurring, but so that's important.
Mm-hmm.
The second thing that this study came out with, and again, it's like a sample size of 1,000, so it's not huge, but was what they're using chatbots for. Okay, so we have to say, are people using chatbots more, and then what are they using them for? It looks like they're using them less for informational purposes than they used to, which is not what I thought.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Yeah,
but they are. I guess the comparing things has stayed the same.
I can make that a little bigger. Does that help?
Yeah, that does.
So, yeah, using it a little bit less for searching for information, a little bit less for entertainment, a little bit less for getting personalized recommendations, completing tasks for work. I mean, in general, it looks like the only thing they're using it more for is comparing things and planning personal trips, outings, or activities. So maybe a little bit of like the novelty has worn off. And so people are experimenting with it less. And unless you have a reason to use it, like for work, maybe you're not.
Right.
So I thought that was pretty interesting.
That is interesting. And I wonder if some of that is because it's like March compared to November. If I feel that during that time, there was also a huge, not a huge, but there was like rumblings or companies not wanting their employees to use like ChatGPT or anything until they like figured out how to control it or contain it within their organization. So I wonder if this also is showing that as well, where they were almost like companies pulled back from that informational research.
Yeah, that's a good point. If it would be different now.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure it would change often.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, let's not just do one study of 1,000 people. So this is another platform. and just talking about use cases, but this was use cases among consumers. So I was like, so
Okay.
before it was very broadly just like among humans, right?
Yeah.
This drills it down a little further into people who are using chatbots transactionally in some way. So I thought this was interesting, right? Because like I said at the beginning of the conversation, like, you know, chatbots for customer service and stuff like that, it's not particularly novel.
Right.
So I thought this was interesting. We've got a pretty good spread here of kind of customer service, which are still probably the highest, but then we've also got some subscriptions, brand communication, and then, I mean, a good amount of purchases, right? Where they're actually dealing with I think it's like some element of a purchase.
Okay. I assume that's the same for like bill payments, because the first time when I first saw that, I was like, wow, I would never think to pay a bill over a chatbot. But if it's like questions around bill payment, then that definitely makes sense.
Yeah. So then I wanted to, because I questioned the Airbnb thing, because I was like, that's so surprising to me that they have a high conversion rate from ChatGPT sourced visits, right? So I was like, is that true across the board? And yeah.
Yeah, that is amazing.
It has increased across the board. And this is obviously, you know, there's context here for sample size and type of business and all that I won't go into because I didn't read a ton about the methodology. So we'll make sure we link stuff. But essentially, there's a pretty statistically significant increase in conversion rates sourced from referred via ChatGPT.
Yeah, that is interesting. And the increase in direct too, I'm wondering if that's they're not actually like clicking through from an agent, but they're then pulling it up on the side, like searching the direct URL.
Yeah, I mean,
I could see that both with paid search and ChatGPT, people doing that. But sorry.
And direct traffic is such like a cluster now because of
we ran into that.
Exactly know what we're looking at. It's very frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, there could be some ChatGPT traffic in there, not direct bucket.
There absolutely could be. So I guess if we were to look across all this, we would say there is not a huge amount of increase. It looks like the people who use chatbots are pretty much the same people who use chatbots, right? We're not seeing like wide scale increased, like multiplier adoption rates, which I think is bad news for OpenAI because they just increased their spending $111 billion. See my TikTok for the video. But people are scaling back, it seems like, the variety of things they're using chatbots for. So that's an interesting chink in the logic chain, right?
Yep.
It does seem that people are willing to do transactions on chatbots and that there's an increase in, at least in e-commerce, conversion rates sourced from ChatGPT specifically.
Yeah.
And then we're seeing that in e-commerce specifically, that the goal appears to largely be related to sales and support. And so that is kind of what people are aiming to do.
Yeah.
I mean, I think people's comfort level with using it for customer support is there. I think the comfort level of using it for sales, you know, I just don't know about that.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see, right? Like, I feel TikTok Shop didn't, or like social sales didn't take off right away. It was definitely like a slow adoption, but then it just went, blew up. So maybe that's the same here. But I don't know.
Christine said, are you watching Christine on LinkedIn? She said, I used to run a bunch of consumer trackers back in the day. Christine is our data friend. But it is interesting, right? Like when you look at what it's going to take, I feel like when we we're almost where we were when we were looking at 10 blue links on Google, right? Where we were all making a lot of hopefully educated guesses about what AI visibility was gonna, about what search visibility was gonna
Yeah.
take, right? Back
Yeah.
then, so 20 years ago. Now I feel like we're in a similar spot with AI visibility. The challenge is, and I think that a lot of people are getting very confused about this, is that AI visibility is dependent on website visibility.
Right.
Like if your website isn't showing up, you're not going to show up on generative
Yes.
engines. Like,
Yes.
those two things are inextricably related.
Yeah.
And so they're getting, like, I think a lot of companies are getting sold these like generative engine and AEO and GEO like packages from marketing companies that have like rebranded as experts, which by the way, there are no experts in that yet. It hasn't been around long enough for there to be. But they're getting sold like these packages, and it's like, that doesn't exist yet. That's not a thing. Like that, and just do what you know works. Like stick to best practices.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean that's what we're seeing too. We're doing what works. It's not anything necessarily new and groundbreaking, but it's what it works, and we're showing up. There's like a higher AI visibility growth over time that we're seeing. So it's doing what works and not jumping around to like the shiny object thing, because that's when your strategy can just die.
So here's a question: between social shopping and the potential for chatbot shopping, right, across multiple platforms and all of that, could you foresee a time when somebody could run an e-commerce business without a website?
Oof. I don't know. I mean, there's got to be a back end somewhere that's like you're hosting your products, right? I mean, I guess it would be, but then you don't own it. I think that that's like still the scary thing for me, is if you're putting all of your, your growth and profit into not profit, but like potential into a platform that you don't own, that can change the rules, that can do all these things. I mean, that I feel like that's a conversation we've had about blogs. That was like blogs and blogging with Blogger and all the other platforms out there. And then a lot of people moved to WordPress. So yeah, I don't right now. At this point, I don't see it, but I don't know. What about you?
I think for the right product and the right opportunist, it could work. Hi, Christine. She just said hi, I'm here.
So I guess we see that already with digital products.
That's
digital
true.
Products don't have, there are a lot of sellers that don't have a website. So yeah, and maybe service, you don't necessarily need a website for, you wouldn't in the future. Physical products, I guess that already happens too, but I don't know how you stand out amongst the competition when you don't have, the only thing is your product, basically your product description. That would set you apart. I don't know. That's a good question.
Product description.
Like how to optimize. I mean,
it feels incredibly fragile.
Yes.
Yeah, the idea, and it's almost like only ever renting.
Yeah.
Right. So all you're ever doing is renting. You're never buying. You don't own your own property, right? So
yeah,
you're never gonna have anything that appreciates that then you can build equity in. We've always said that, right? The best thing about a website is it's appreciable, right? It can appreciate over time in value, in every way, right? Like your domain can appreciate. You can get a URL, or domain brokers. Like you have literal monetary value associated with your website. that is not true as an Amazon seller. It's not true. Like you can't sell your Amazon store, I don't think.
No. I mean, people do, but it doesn't have as much value as,
Right.
Your own domain. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's extremely complicated to transfer everything.
Oh, okay. I'm not in econ, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Nor do I want
only know a little bit, but
yeah.
Yeah. And I can see that some company, that's totally fine if it's more of like fast fashion type, just some products that just change quickly over time, and you don't like, you're not attached to a one thing. But for the companies that, they have their proprietary product and, their trademarks and everything, then I can see that being an issue where, you want to own the domain, you want to own the property. And I don't think it would be as desirable for those organizations to be on a platform like, yeah, I mean, gosh, that's like we could go a whole nother half hour about it, but
you need a website.
Yeah.
Do you even need a website?
And would there be, the opposite happening where there's people kind of like turn against having social selling or chatbot selling, and then they just like, people only want to buy from a website because it feels more like you're buying from a person type experience. So I don't know.
Which is hilarious because it's still online.
I know, but it feels more personable than, except for if the chatbot is talking to you and trying to please you, then maybe
it's like having a personal
feel like
little, shopper. I mean, you wonder though, like it would be interesting to do. Okay, so I'm the kind of okay, tell me, what kind of person are you? When you go into a store, are you like, I want to go find somebody who works here who can help me find what I'm looking for? Or are you the kind of person who's like, God help me if somebody approaches me, I am going to find it on my own? Like, which kind of person are you?
I was the latter, but I'm becoming like the I think I'm a shopper that I have to, like, I need to know exactly I can't go into a store unless I know what I'm looking for because I get overwhelmed. So I'm a terrible shopper. So now if I go in and I can ask a person, help me find this thing. This is exactly what I need. Here's a picture. Then if I can do it quick like that. I don't like people coming up to me and asking how they can help because I don't know how they can help me if I don't know what I'm looking for.
You can't help me. You are underqualified.
Well, I just think I will walk out with nothing, so it's not worth their time. But yeah, I mean, it is nice to be able to just walk up to someone and say, this is what I need. Like on my phone.
So I feel like that dynamic of like shopping anxiety is a very prevalent thing, right? Like it's you either have it or you don't. I'm like, I don't want anyone to acknowledge me. I don't understand like why you realize I exist. Like I'm here to be alone, like in public. I love being alone in public. It's like a thing. Maybe it's an extrovert thing. I don't know. Anyway, I wonder if there will become a little bit of a split online in shopping behavior, because like when I'm shopping on Instagram or TikTok or something like that, like it feels very it's done in solitude, right? Like it's just me and my phone. But if like I'm doing it on ChatGPT, there's like this parasocial dynamic that's occurring, right? Where I'm like talking back and forth to a chatbot and kind of having like a social interaction, even though it's not a social interaction, it is, right? It's a parasocial interaction. And I feel like I'm having a social interaction. So like you wonder if people are going to start to not want that because it feels like, how can I help you? Don't you want another color in that? Have you tried this? You should also buy that. Like if it's going to feel pushy and unwelcome.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I can totally relate to already when interacting with like Claude or ChatGPT. already just like, no, just give me the thing. Like, stop asking me questions. I just want the thing in a whatever format, and then I'm done. It already is like, yeah, stop asking me. I'm not going to continue this conversation for hours with you. So yeah, and I don't necessarily want to do that in public either.
Don't be another person in my life who's asking me for something, okay? Or another entity or whatever.
Right.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how it evolves. This is going to be a landmark year for e-commerce. Sure. I mean, e-commerce has already been very dramatically upset by the very initial stages of chatbot transactions and selling on LLMs. So it'll be very interesting to see how that evolves over the course of, I think, this year especially. But one of the most important things, and kind of circling back to where we started this conversation with Airbnb's attribution and saying that they were getting high value traffic from ChatGPT. I think the biggest thing any company should take away from this is like, figure out your attribution. Like, how are you measuring what you're getting from generative engines? You can do it in GA4. Just do it, right? Fill out. Actually, I did an Apply AI video for this. I'll drop it because I made a video of how you can build out your channel group for generative engine.
Yeah. Yes.
So I'll drop that in the comments. Build out your generative engine traffic report, figure out what that traffic is doing, right? How it's behaving, how they're, how long they're staying on the site, if they're going to other pages, whatever, and then track them to the point of conversion so that you do understand like what that source is providing to you and what their value is. Because if you're not doing that, then you don't even have enough information to join this conversation, like to know what.
Absolutely. Yeah. You tied it right up in a nice bow at the end.
Beautiful. All right. Talk soon.
All right. Bye.